Hello everyone, this is Money Mom. Welcome to the channel. Today I wanted to chat with you guys about my opinion of 11 reasons people really hate their jobs in 2024. Let's get right into it. Before I go over this list and give you my opinion of and my observations just from knowing people of all ages, okay? And it's a lot of young folks too that I'm talking about, that I used to kind of sometimes prejudge a little bit and think, well, they just don't want to work. Well, after doing some observations, I can kind of understand why. Now, in today's video, I am not calling out any companies or saying one negative thing about anyone. So that's what I want to start with first. And I don't have anyone in mind when speaking about this, but I'm going to share with you reasons that I am seeing of why people are really unhappy in their jobs. Okay, the first is, and I did some research on this, pay has not kept up with inflation, especially for the job. You used to have more people doing a job. Now, a lot of times when you see jobs, one person might be doing a job of 2 or 3 people just to save money, so the people at the top make the money. So I figured this out. What I made in 1988 was around $10 an hour, and I taught at a private day school. And that is now with inflation around $22 an hour. I don't know anyone that's making $22 an hour at working at a private day school or working at a local store, things like that. And I know I worked at a beauty supply store, and I think I made right around $8.75 or $9 an hour back then in the late 80s. Okay, and I know that's worth more now. So the first is pay hasn't kept up with inflation. Number 2, and this is just from talking to people, a lot of times when people get hired, they're told what their job task is, but then when they start, they are being switched around, the communication isn't good, and they're not really sure what job they're supposed to be doing, because things constantly change, and one manager's telling them one thing and another manager's telling them something else. So a lot of disorganization. So that's one of the other reasons. Number 3, I've had many folks just say, I just really don't care about the work I'm doing. It's not rewarding, and I don't see a point to it. And I remember back in the 70s, now this is the early 70s, many of the people that worked at jobs, they were there and they were really happy about the job they did, and they really took pride in it. And so I'm not seeing a lot of that nowadays. Number 4, a lot of low morale and high turnover rate. You know, growing up in the early 70s, I remember that a lot of the folks that worked at these jobs were there for years, 30, 40 years at the same job. You don't see that a lot nowadays. Okay, number 5, not a good benefit package at all. And a lot of jobs don't want to hire you full time, and a lot of the benefit packages are not that good. And so if you have lower pay and not a good benefit package, as a matter of fact, there's a store, now I know this is a retail environment near me, I won't say the name of the store, but whenever I go in there, they're always having trouble with their air conditioner. It is always very balmy and hot inside there. So a lot of folks have complained about not getting enough hours, but yet what happens is that they have 5 people doing the job of what maybe 8 people should be doing, and they keep cutting hours so that the folks up at the top can make the money. I'm sure you know what I mean. Number 6, just no job security. You know, people change jobs, and I read this somewhere, the average person changes jobs once every 3 years. So I don't know if this is accurate, because you know you get different studies, but people change jobs more frequently than when I was growing up. Number 7, they kind of feel like, you know, the people, their bosses and things, and the company just doesn't care about them. They're just a number, and they really don't care about what's going on in their life at all. And as a matter of fact, I do have a friend of mine that works in a retail environment. This particular environment, they were short-staffed. There was somebody new that they were training, and there was a boss there that was sitting on his or her computer and doing some things, I don't know what, because I wasn't there, and the line was not moving quick enough, and the person that's the boss, instead of coming to help them, started kind of, you know, getting onto them about, hey, well, this is unconscionable, you know, this is ridiculous, you need to be moving this, you need to figure out a way to get these customers through the line faster, and kind of got onto them. Now, my friends said that they were this close of just saying bye-bye, but they didn't. They stuck it out, but they were not too happy about it. Well, if you see your folks working hard, and you're trying, and you got a new person you're training at the same time, and you're short-staffed, I don't think it's an appropriate time to go and start yelling at someone about how slow they are. I'm sure you probably agree. So they kind of feel like nobody cares about them, okay? Which brings me kind of to number 8. They're talked down to a lot. Now, there's a lot of fabulous supervisors and bosses out there that treat people wonderful, and people will go above and beyond, and they get in the trenches with them, and they'll do any kind of work they can to help you out. But then there's some that don't. And so when they feel like they are not being treated well and talked down to, then that's why I think what happens is that's when people call in sick, things like that, and they don't feel a loyalty. They feel like there's no loyalty to them, so they don't feel loyalty to the company. Because I used to think to myself, why are all these young, folks always calling in sick all the time? Well, the reason why is all the reasons I said. They kind of feel like nobody really cares anyway, and they're not appreciated, so they don't feel like coming in. So they just don't see the point. And I do understand where they're coming from, even though I grew up where, hey, unless you are dire ill and you've got a doctor's note, you never call in. Many of you were probably raised that. But many folks feel like they're talked down to and mistreated. And number 9, there's a lot of expectations are way too high. For example, they expect them to get a lot of work done within a short period of time, even if there's interruptions and things like that. So they put a lot of work on you. And doesn't matter if you're short-staffed. There's no excuses for that. And number 10, favoritism. Some people seem to be able to get away with everything. And then if you get on somebody's bad side or they don't care for you, you're treated very differently. So with that, there's a lot of favoritism. And last but not least, I also put down, well, I think I already said this. Understaffed, which I kind of already said that. That's number 11. A lot of these companies are understaffed, but because of profits, they don't want to hire. Because instead of hiring someone, and I heard this from somebody recently, that they worked at a company and they basically told them they were leaving. And the reason why is they said, you've been promising for 6 months to get somebody in here to help me, and I'm only getting paid a wage of one person. We're understaffed. I can't possibly get this work done, but you're expecting me to, and you haven't hired anybody, just so the people up at the top can get paid. So these are some of the things that some people are seeing in their jobs. Now, just to say this, there are companies out there that pay fair, reward their employees, and treat their people really well. And because of that, the morale is good. Have you guys ever gone somewhere where everyone's in a really good mood and people are happy and joyous, and you can just tell that the energy is really good? Well, that's because that the company's being run well, people are being rewarded for a good job, and everyone's working well together as a team. There are really good companies out there that are just have the benefit packages, the pay is fair, and all of that. But then there are some that aren't, and those are the ones that are getting the high turnover rate. So let me know what you guys think. We're not going to mention any companies in the comments below, any negative experiences about particular companies. But if you want to share any positive or negative experience, go ahead, but just don't mention the company's name. So let me know what you guys think of this story. I really appreciate y'all listening. I love you, I appreciate you, and I sure hope to see you on tomorrow morning's video. Bye-bye.